each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvised. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
You're blowing my mind. This is great.
That's that common terms that both science and spirit have had for thousands of years. We're just at a point where there are enough learned people to see the commonalities.
Yeah, and that's one thing we've been seeing for a long time is all these teachers and you know the healers and coaches, like everyone's coming out of the closet now. It's like everyone's waking up and they're stumbling into some kind of life purpose and they're saying, oh my God, I am part of the service to others soul family, and I'm here to do something big, and I don't know what it is, right? And they're like, whether people are being fully successful in that mission or not, they are anchoring in a consciousness. They are anchoring in that energy so that whatever it is that happens, they are there as antennas and acting as a collective consciousness saying, I choose my free will to wake up. I choose my free will to create my future in a way that serves me rather than let somebody else create my future. And, you know, those that have been creating the future have been doing us all a huge service by creating our future so that we don't have to think about it, right? Setting up the systems and running the country so that we don't have to think about it, so we can keep hitting the snooze button and say, oh, I'm just going to sleep in a little more. You guys got this? Okay, thanks. And now we're coming into a level of spiritual adulthood where we can say, thank you. I'm ready to take over from here.
So 100 years ago, let's say 116 years ago, 1900, it didn't work that way. Everyone created their own life. The only thing that was connecting us was the very beginning of radio and telegraph and books. So it was a very individual, specialized local bubbles of reality. When telephone, radio, and TV took over, this whole global way of running our lives was created. So it is not very old for us.
Right.
And that's one of those things that humanity itself has to use hindsight and foresight simultaneously. And that's a birthright everyone has. You know, everyone's had that moment where you see the past and then you clearly see your future, that you have the goals that you want to create. I say that that's a mystical experience. And when I say mystical, meaning you're engaging your physical and your spiritual intelligence. You're not in competition with whatever's around you, and the information and the data and the clarity flow, and you create mental algorithms that are called goals. And those goals become very advanced as the individual spiritual genius and the human genius takes over to make a thought construct that says, I will make a business. Whether it's a business that changes the world, a business that informs people, or a service-based something that goes out and educates people. Because educating people about the bifurcation process, that's probably one of the most singular, most important things to be doing in the next 20 months. You were asking what I see in the Akashic Record and what can happen tomorrow and the next day. An infinite amount of things can happen at every moment. So when I use the Akashic Record, I look at an individual person and I go into their crown chakra and I look at the total number of potentials that this person is creating through their thought constructs from that of the beginning of the being as the fetus in the mother's womb. That's where their living space and their dream space of the Akashic Record began as they immigrated to this world. And within those potentials is what's known as a 1 degree of separation. Everything that being will meet. Every person that it's ever walked upon the street, every person that's ever heard the breath. That is its equational representation of how it can impact the world. That impacting of the world creates a sum value that everyone else may interact with. So in a mathematical equation or a spiritual mathematical algorithm, we all have a 1 degree of separation that gives us the potential of achieving a unity consciousness expression.
Yes.
I say it takes about 200 people that are in the intermediate level of advancing of lucid dreaming and common spiritual processes can make the first grid of a unity conscious, meaning they can share simple telepathic messages without a technological transference. There are 7,300,000,000 human beings on this world. I say there are 57 billion sentient beings on this world, occupying a variety of skin suits, both seen and unseen.
Skin suits. I call them skin bags.
Meat suits, skin suits, DNA lineage, occupation suits, ancillary precognitive workforce suits. There's 900,000 different models of human skin suit we can function in.
This is great.
With all these timeline wars that occurred 50 plus million years ago that we've been talking about throughout this whole series, how many, just for re-clarification, how many timelines currently exist, and are they able, one
timeline, but our Earth has 3 timelines as its basic setup.
Okay.
The central graduation timeline was camouflaged. There were over 300,000 timelines. The above timeline had no choice but to absorb some of the 300,000, and the below timeline had no choice but to absorb some of the 300,000. And then it's kept creating more and more and more until finally it was overloaded, and it comes to the audit date. And in June 2011, they figured out how to unravel everything and figure out what is the central timeline. And once they did that, they were able to eliminate all the excess timelines except the above and below.
So they were able to do that without major trauma.
Correct.
Other than 911, which was
necessary to happen.
It was necessary to happen. And as
Earth itself, during these timeline wars, when we look at the section at 480,000 to 420,000 years ago, is when all the big players of the 2,300 primary soul families, 2,200 primary soul families and 2,300 different species. So there's just a little difference. Soul families breed and create species, and then there's the actual number of species. All of them were in competition to make Earth theirs. And all of them had time travel technology. All of them had interdimensional vessels.
Wow.
All of them had explored the universe. And they were all in competition to get to make that first species.
Wow.
So that's what puts us in the setup of the time wars. We look at Earth as, I look at Earth before the timelines were unified, as just this giant ball of mess.
Yeah.
And this giant ball of mess, you could never know what was really being done. One person would do something that would counteract this. Somebody would do something to counteract this. Somebody would create 5,000 timelines and only do one important thing on one timeline, and it would take you forever to figure it out. So that's how that all works. Where we are right now, 2011 to 2014, every single bit of the time war is about right now. It's about propaganda coming out. Propaganda that's thousands of years old, hundreds of years old, millions of years old. This propaganda influences the awakening, which is the end of the process where we must have graduation timeline. Absolutely, it's the Prime Creator's will. So that the surface, the surface that we live on, this is the graduating timeline. If you're here to become a higher dimensional soul, to interfunction with Earth, or to go out and explore space with your consciousness, you have to be on the graduating timeline. Earth has 3 timelines: above, below, center. Center is the graduating timeline.
Okay.
What other kind of questions do you have?
I'm wondering what percentage of worlds are free-willed?
You can't
I
really
try
rate
to
that because there are worlds that are half free will, half not free will, or 3/4 free will and free for all on the other side. You can't rate it as a percentage.
So is
Our
it given
world
on a
is unique.
planetary or a bigger level?
No, I'm talking even if you just go at the planetary level out throughout the universe, they're all different layers of free will. Each is a different frequency of sovereignty and assists the different beings there on their particular process. We here at Earth have already done the spiritual sovereignty path of millions of other worlds. To be here on Earth means you're the best of the best of the best of the last 25 million generations. If you're not ready, you're not here. Literally, everyone that's here, everyone that's listening on the call that thinks they aren't meant to be here, bullshit. You're here because you are the best of the best of the best of this universal generation.
Right. Right.
One question for you: you've spoken of the time there being 3 timelines on this planet. One above, one below. Could we equate those to future and past, or is it simply there's 3 timelines?
There's literally 3. It was set up for this exact purpose. The below timeline is the animal spirits that are looking to come in, experience the Earth food chain. And example, when you eat a piece of meat or a piece of fruit, that fruit or that piece of meat stems back to a sentience in a forest or in a pasture. And those animals that have gone through the food chain get to live vicariously through you and get to take back into their astral world how the reality works so that they can gain the experience of this world. And now there are people on the above timeline who can jump to the below timeline and act as spirit guides to those very young spirits. The people on the center timeline are constantly looking for guides above or below. The above timeline is the higher energy spirit guides, angelic beings who know they cannot be physically present on the world, but still need to interact with a group of soul contracted people that they're trying to make sure are on the best of spiritual and physical health. So the above timeline is for higher energy beings who realize that the center graduation timeline is for those people who are here for their PhD in the School of Hard Knocks and are meant to be on the graduation timeline. The above spirits have already graduated other classes and other scenarios, and they're essentially coming here to be experienced tutors.
So those timelines really have to exist for realms like the astral plane to be able to function with the physical.
Correct.
Okay. So that clarifies. Just want to make sure I wasn't crossing things over.
And when you do timeline wars on all 3, you really get to realize that our perception of this single timeline reality was crafted literally to separate us from the very natural ways our world was meant to function. We were meant to be functioning on 3 timelines and to understand that what the above timeline and the below timeline is. And this is the micro version. The macro version still plays out in our world today. We have, UFO and off-world species, the macro timeline, the micro timeline being Hollow Earth, and the Agartha network, which are elder ancestor spirits, and this goes on and on and on. And until you get to an understanding we're a 7th dimensional galactic seed planet, there are really 21 possible realities at any given moment in this world, and they've literally limited us to 1.
.609, are you there?
Yes.
Hey, your name and where you're calling from?
This is Makiko from New Jersey.
New Jersey. All right, we're going to be having a break in just about 2 minutes. So if you hear the music, hold on to the line, and we'll take you afterwards. So
Wonderful.
did you hear the webinar yesterday?
I listened a bit. You want to talk about time traveler?
Whatever you want. All right, that's the music. Hold on, Makiko. We'll be right back to you after the break.
Wonderful.
And welcome back, everyone. Makiko, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Great. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. I can't believe I'm talking to you.
Yes, you've made it through. So what do you want to talk about today?
Okay. So I know you mentioned time traveler.
Hmm?
One of the reasons I could not listen because I don't want to identify myself as one of them. And because I remember I was on one of those platforms and meeting with one of my past lovers.
Okay. So then what did you want to talk about today?
Do you mind expanding the divinity path and divinity birther? And if you have any contract revocation for that, I would love to hear from you.
Okay. So a divinity path is a soul that has set them on themselves on the mystical experience of living as a human being, as a multifunctional, multidimensional, photonic being of light, who ultimately knows at birth that the physical body is not the only way of experiencing this world. They understand the fundamentals of shape-shifting in the mind and in the soul. They understand the fundamentals of remote viewing coming in at birth. And the challenge for a divinity path soul is to realize that, to realize themselves as the God realized internally and not externally. So the divinity path has 17 spokes to it. Each one is a different spoke in a universe. So once you've completed the 17 paths of divinity, you come here to Earth. And you make a choice. Do you go on to the 18th path, which is creating a brand new spoke, or you become one of the first beings of a new universe, or you go off into this universe and create your own planet, or you continue as an individual being on the divinity path, trying to assist other beings who are in divinity birthing. So divinity birthing is a individual being, generally of a feminine stature, but there are other worlds out there that do not use just masculine and feminine. They have 3, 4, and 5 types of sexes that have different forms of birthing. Divinity path birthers do what's called direct incarnation birthing, meaning a soul from another world will never need to travel via spaceship or external travel. It can directly go from its home world into the womb of a sacred divinity path birther who has created particular contracts with a planet or a planetary celestial mind or group of celestial minds to bring in a new immigration pattern of souls so some form of change can happen on the surface of a world that is in inaction or in entropy. So you were asking about contract revocations for them?
Yeah, well, because the thing is that I do not, sometimes I catch myself, but sometimes don't. Why couldn't be more freely be able to access to all the other selves?
Because you live in the world of the now, where to get access to your other selves is an understanding of the self-responsibility of healing them. Because the other aspects of self that are going to come forward to a divinity path birther or the divinity path being is the self-healing of the other parts of yourself who weren't divinity path. The whole point of being on a divinity path being is so all other versions of yourself can be simultaneously the divinity path being. So it is a path of the self-healer where we must confront some of our internal issues that may have came from birth. So for anyone that's on that divinity path, the divinity path birth, or past life regression, so that you are put into some form of hypnotic state and you with your own voice can begin to bring up some of the other issues in other lifetimes. Like for you, you've had tremendous amount of lifetimes where your chest cavity was greatly injured, whether it was from war or car accidents or heartbreak. And this made it very, very tough for you to feel some of the finer things of the divinity path mystical experience, which is the love of earth that's subtly everywhere in our existence. Divinity path beings can instantly connect to it, become powerful shamans, powerful wizards and healers, and powerful warlocks if they choose that process. But it's about how the heart inside you connects to the heart of the earth. You are the baby of earth, and you hear the heartbeat of the earth just like a baby in the womb hears the heartbeat of the mother. So
yes,
connecting to the heartbeat of the earth is one of those meditation processes and life-living processes that you should begin to incorporate, so the subtle feelings of the earth become part of your perceptions.
I do feel exactly how she feels, and I feel her changing, or how she changed already. But how can I do not feel the source at which I'm trying to connect more.
Well, then this is where you've got to kind of divide up your meditations. So one meditation is designed where you are going to focus on the North Pole, the place of the 7 previous ancestors, those that have agreed that they're not going to be reborn into life, that they're going to stay as teacher spirits. And you have lived many lifetimes with many of those teacher spirits. So by connecting to them, you will put into your divinity path the resolution of healing for yourself and the 7 previous generations. And this is not something that's going to weigh you down like weights on your shoulder. It is just something that's within your perception, that the subtle connection to Earth is always going to be healing the 7 previous generations of Earth. The next meditation is focusing on the South Pole, where the 7 future generations exist. This is how our astral worlds are split into 2 different forms, the 7 previous generations in the north and the 7 future generations in the south. So make a clear delineation. One day it's the north, one day it's the south, so on and so forth. In the south is where you have got to project your mind in a state of creative imagery, where you're literally on the tip of the South Pole, miles above the ice, in the lightest of air. That is where the astral cities of the 7 future generations begin. And this is where you want to begin a process of what I call heraldry, where you introduce yourself to the 7 future generations. And you are not opening a portal, but you are creating a frequency that is one-way introduction. And then the second, third, and fourth meditations is where you want to open a small little portal so that the future generations can begin and come and share wisdom with you, what it is that they want to see in the world, so you can begin translating and putting on paper what the 7 future generations feel the world should be like, what type of changes the individual beings of the now can make.
That's why I'm getting those messages.
Yes, that's why you're getting the messages.
Okay. I was like, where are those things coming from? And they keep telling me to write.
Mm-hmm. I think that there have been many lifetimes in the past where you were a writer, and that as you decide to go deeper into that skill, you'll discover that you're very good at it, and that the wisdom that's coming in from the ancestors of the past and the ancestors of the future make a moment of now reference. Because only the beings of the now can live in the now. The 7 generations of the past don't live in the now, and the 7 generations of the future don't live in the now. But when you choose to connect to them through these portal meditation contexts, in the moment of now, you are writing and giving them ancient future now or ancient past now presence, so that they can co-create with you words that assist the 7 generations of the past and the future to simultaneously exist with us at the unseen layer, without restrictions or limitations created by the system of domination and control.
Andrew, is this why I'm going so many places, so many beings come to me?
Yep, absolutely. And there's going to be a lot more coming as you take this meditation of the North and the South a little bit more concrete, serious.
So some of the beings scares me, but I don't understand why. They are telling me that I'm anchoring their ship or ships, whatever, and I don't understand how I'm going to. Is it something I could do to be aware, so I am more aware during sleep, I guess?
Yes. Before you go to sleep, there is a mantra that you'll have to create, and it'll go something like this. I, in this ever-present co-creative moment of now, before I enter the great sleep and connect to my dreaming body, give instructions to all of my light bodies experiencing the 7 colors of time. As I fall into the deep sleep and connect to the Earth Mother's dream time, the only portal I create is to my 7 future generations and my 7 past generations, so I may have ancestral visitations and understandings. All other beings who are not in my direct DNA lineage, not within my soul family DNA lineage, and not within my expression of truth and love, shall not have access to this portal. This is solely for me and the infinite beings in equal co-creation with here on this earth. I make this choice before I enter the great sleep, so my dreaming body, the vehicle that helps me transverse the multiverse of expressions, understands where I am going, what I am doing, and that I am here to share this experience inside my dreaming body, so I may remember it fully when I wake up the next morning. And those first 10 minutes of the morning, I will choose to solidify in my memories the dreams that I have heard and understood through this golden door of protection I've created for myself.
Oh my God, thank you. This is powerful. Andrew, I could have already made one mistake.
Yeah. So I got a little question for you. Have you changed your diet where you're not eating meat anymore?
Oh my God, yes. How do you know?
I'm psychic.
Was it raw? Because I'm completely changed. I'm so
I unfortunately, you still need to eat some meat. Your body's not let go of it fully.
Oh,
now,
God.
I generally tell people a raw diet is great for them, but there are times that the body just needs it. And you got to not beat yourself up if you decide to eat a burger or a little piece of steak or some fish or something.
Do you think I'm very flabby? I'm very weak now.
I know.
I'm not eating. I'm not eating meat.
Yeah, you need to change your diet once again and understand.
I don't want to eat meat.
I know, but unfortunately, your spiritual experience is going to become very negative if you don't.
Really?
Yeah, and once again,
even a beef. Do I have to eat beef?
No, it's going to come down to a personal choice that, unfortunately, when you're eating raw, it's very hard to get the right amount of protein so your body can create muscle. And when you're going through the spiritual creation process, such as what you're on, you have to have that protein. Whether it's a whey protein, an egg protein, you need to start adding protein to your diet. Otherwise, this experience will turn negative on you. I have seen it dozens and dozens and dozens of times.
Oh my God, I am actually shaking right now while you're speaking. My entire body is reacting.
I know. The reason you're shaking, right, because your body knows its truth.
Oh my gosh. Okay, there's a powerful being visit me. The one is from different galaxy, but he wants want me to share the DNA. Now, probably other things going to happen. This is not the first time. How do I know what to say?
Well, it's not about what you say, it's what you do. You won't be sharing your DNA with any physical or energy being until you have connected back into your body, had the right amount of protein for about 4 to 6 months, where the muscle starts to get back on, and picking up something like yoga, Tai Chi, or Qigong will make your energies much stronger, so you'll understand why this individual being is asking to share DNA with you. It's because its species needs your DNA at the light body level, so brand new beings, 7 future generations, can incarnate into it. Because that particular being, its species, is no longer connected to the tree of life. They use technology to go beyond that, to become immortal, and they learned in the long term they still need the tree of life. And what they really, really want is a valuable, healthy you that has muscle on it, so that you can make the individual choice when it's the right time to share a sliver of your DNA, that will be transferred through your heart space to the heart space of that connecting being, and nothing can intercept it and steal it. And what comes back to you is the incredible mystical experience of sharing your DNA that does not cause karmic retribution in you.
That's exactly what I was afraid of. The second being is the one being that higher dimension, but I'm having a hard time to connecting.
Right. It's because your body doesn't have the power to connect. You are literally short on the fuel the body needs.
That's what he told me, but I had no idea. It's something to do with the protein. Wow.
Yeah. So
This
there is
amazing.
an all natural protein out there. One second, let me grab it real quick. It's what I use.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily taste the best, but it's the best one. It's called Sun Warrior Blend Raw Vegan Protein, and each scoop has 20 grams of protein in it. So for anyone that's a raw food person out there, inside your shakes, you can use this stuff to get 20 grams of protein. You're generally going to need 40 grams of protein if you're coming out of the raw vegan stage and you're trying to regain and re-put on muscle. Once again, I really want people to be raw food, but there are times in your spiritual growth it is the wrong thing to do, and you are the perfect example that you need protein and muscle on your body so the next state of mystical experiences really settles in and makes a tremendous change within you.
Okay. Could you tell me that blend again? Something warrior?
Sun Warrior.
Sun warrior.
And then the second word is Warrior Blend Raw Vegan Protein.
Oh, vegan protein.
And you can get it on Amazon. And there are other versions out there, but it's an all-natural vegan protein that you can start adding to your shakes so you can start putting on weight.
I
know
also
it's tough.
received, I received a message of somebody said this is from universe. I was carrying a big baby.
Right.
Going to the bathroom.
Yeah. And you need protein for that baby to grow.
Wow, this is huge. Andrew, thank you. I hope you don't mind. I have a Facebook friends who like Andrew Bartzis, and then I regularly read contracts and respecting you or what you said. But I hope you don't mind.
Not at all. So are there any other questions you want to ask?
No, I think it's well, I have some. Well, is this related to why I have so many strange dreams? For example, I am giving a birth to egg, like
again, you're not experiencing the wholeness of the mystical experience. If you had more protein in your body and more energy throughout your system, you would have a lot more frame of reference.
I see.
So you will get a second chance and a third chance. It's all about how much weight you can pack on that isn't going to be fat.
Okay, Andrea.
So if you can literally figure out a way to add 15 pounds of muscle to you, whether that's going in, yeah, I'm serious. That 15 pounds of muscle will give you 50,000 years of experience.
Could you tell me why it has to be muscle?
Because there is something in your frequency that has made you meek. The word M-E-E-K, something that has taken away your muscular structure, which is directly attached to your spiritual muscles.
Oh. Is this purposely happen? Because I'm completely changed.
Yeah, I know. Is it purposeful? I think it's really just part of the process of change that you've been through, so that the body goes through the changes at its pace, separate than the soul, because the body is the last part of the soul's experience.
Okay.
Think of it as the tailing end, and you need to bring the tailing end into the soul. So by giving it more muscle, it can be equal in co-creation with the soul.
So this is nothing to do with like an implants type of thing?
No. This is your path, your individual path, and the amount of physical power your body can generate so the spiritual, mystical experience is understood and processed.
I got it. No, it makes sense to me, Andrew. My God, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. You have a really, really good day, and I'm glad that you called today.
I did too. Thank you, Andrew.
You have a good day.
Bye. You too. Bye.
305, your name and where you're calling from. You're up next.
Hi, my name is Eileen, and I'm from Miami.
Hi, Eileen from Miami. How can I help you today?
I've always been a very individual, freedom-oriented human being on this planet, and I've always been guided by God and always have been traveling around the planet doing what I do. And I got to hear your Blog Talk Radio interviews the other night, and I just got swept off my feet. And I responded this morning. I got something from you. It was like archives, and I went to the most recent one, and I started listening again. And I just feel really connected to so many things that you were saying. And Mount Shasta, one of my really good friends, she is doing some work up there, and I know that I've been in Lemuria, and my life has taken me. I haven't traveled to India. However, my body loves to do hatha yoga since I was 21 years old, and now I'm 62. So, and I've been a vegetarian diet since 1972 when Spirit told me this is the way to go, and I incorporate that in the work that I do on the planet, which is I don't want to tell you anymore, but I know that all of these facets of my experiences from lifetimes into this lifetime just catapulted me into a new direction where I got rid of a big dragon on my back, a house, and now I'm living in another little house that I bought. And I'm exploding with this vivacious energy that I just am ready for the next level.
Okay. Well, what I need you to do is tell me about the first 10 minutes of your day, be as specific as possible when you first woke up. And what I'm doing is to read the infinite dream world you and the process that you go to become the finite person, awake person that you do. Give me about 45, 50 seconds of this out loud, and I'll begin to read you.
I wake up and I can feel the light coming in through the windows, and then I get up and I love to do my postures in the morning. And then after I do that, I take a shower, and then I make a smoothie with fruits and water. And then I'm ready to go for the day. But this morning I walked outside, and I saw the sun and the clouds.
I need to know when you first woke up. Listen to what I'm saying. Only when you first woke up. What did you do when you first woke up?
I just give thanks and say, God, thank you for letting me be here again. And I will be.
Right. Did you dream last night? Did you dream last night? Okay. What I'm trying to do is stop the listen. I'm trying to stop the automated program. As soon as we wake up, we go from infinite to finite, and we're awake, and the mind takes over. I'm trying to get you into that moment, literally when your eyes were waking up. Just try to think about that, not about you can't think of any of that. That's what I needed to know. What it means is your dream world's actually been disconnected from your awake world because of something that you do on a regular basis. What I'm tuning in here is... In the past, I
feel myself coming through. Does that make sense?
That's pretty common. That's pretty common. What I'm really sensing, there's something that you do in your daily life where there's an intense focus from your brain into your hands. And this pathway building is something that's been going for a very long time. And this is actually the disconnect from your dream world, because you got dream world energy in your hands. And it's really specific energy. Like each of your little fingertips have a little bit of a third eye in them. Most people have a representation of the third eye in the palms of their hands, and it's represented in many artworks, Indian-type artworks. But yours are in the tips of your fingers. You work with clay or something like that?
No, I'm a painter.
You're a painter. Oil painting?
I'm a painter, and I work in the watercolor, oil, and I work in the garden, and I do massage on people, and I touch my crystals
that's what
around the house.
That right there is actually what I'm sensing. You're so hyper-focused in that energy, it's actually disabling part of your dream world so you can't fully remember it. So what I'm going to suggest, actually, is you do artwork of yourself, quite literally. And you incorporate your healing mental traditions that you would do on a patient that you would do on your piece of artwork. And you're going to do like a chest and above, like a bust and above view of yourself, and be very, very colorful on your face, on your third eye, on your hair. Bring as much color as possible to the imagery of yourself. And you're going to create what's called a reflective moment. And this reflective moment is going to send energy back to you. And this is what you need right now. You're what I call a rubber band that's stretched. And if it's stretched anymore, it's going to break. And if it breaks, you lose a significant amount of your consciousness exploring energy. And so you once again repair yourself. And I'm really sensing that this is a regular thing in your life where you would stretch, break, and keep rebuilding yourself, stretch, break. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm very fluid, so, but I have my own shots. I don't work for anybody. I work for myself. I don't do massage on people for a living. I paint for a living. You know what I mean? I paint, and my work is all over the world. So stretch, break. I serve myself, I think, really well in all the capacities that I came here to do. So I don't feel like I'm breaking. Sometimes I have dreams of people on the other side.
Well, I can see there's a highly, highly spiritual side. And what I'm looking at is the person that wakes up, and there's a disconnect between your dream world and the person that goes right away. It's like you wake up and you're the pedals to the metal, quite literally. And that needs to stop. Okay. That is one of the biggest issues with highly artistic people. The creative juices are flowing. I'm ready to tackle the world. But you actually got to slow down during that moment you're waking up. And that's actually what's holding you back on the consciousness exploration level. You've got to take the luxury time so that you can allow yourself to fully wake up. Really what I'm getting, when you were a kid, when you were going to school, did you parents wake you up? Did you wake yourself up when you were young? Like, you know,
I
like
don't remember.
Middle school.
I don't remember any of that.
Try to remember that because that's where this programming has started, actually.
Okay.
And this goes for any parents out there. Children that get woken up by alarms or by yelling or you're missing the bus, that's the worst thing that can be done for them because it prevents their infinite dream world from finishing nurturing the soul. And that's what the energy that I'm getting out of you is your dream world hasn't finished the nurturing process. You're going from sleep paralysis to awake and getting out of the bed and the consciousness that's you is fully asserted even before the body's finished waking up.
Interesting. Okay.
You know, I run into this quite often with professional artists, quite often. And honestly, it's just about deprogramming yourself during that waking up phase. And you're a powerful woman, a very intent and powerful woman, and you can do this. It's just a matter of you're just going to have to figure out as soon as you wake up to stop the brain from taking over and inserting the autopilot programs to get up and be a part of the world. You've got to slow it down. There's more here. This is part of this is a past life. And to say Lemuria, you're in this in-between phase of Lemuria. This was about 285,000 years ago. And Lemuria itself is a very difficult concept to express if you've not experienced your past lives before. Lemuria can actually vanish out of the time stream of Earth and not be here, and yet still coexist at the same time. That's the type of place that it was. And it's very, very difficult to identify Lemuria. What I'm going to say is you're called what's called Jun Akuna, and it's a sub-city that existed during that times that it didn't leap through the time frames, and their list existed just outside of Ireland. And there's some sunken areas over there that would indicate that Ireland, if you look on the maps, that Ireland was, the tops of the mountains. And that's essentially where you come from. The Irish people interacted with the Egyptian people, and there were all sorts of tunnels that led in and out of hollow earth. And I'm really sensing a lot of your soul lived in hollow earth and on the surface of the world. So you're like a fifth dimensional being who mostly lived in the hollow earth soul societies and rarely lived on the surface. Maybe 30 lifetimes in the last 200,000 years did you actually live on the surface, and the most of your time was in the co-creative communities inside the hollow earth and the Agartha network. And I think if you wanted to start researching that stuff, it would be opening memory doors for you significantly.
Okay. And my attraction in this world... I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My attraction in this world is to be in the tropics, where around the whole equator, where there's just the gorgeous trees and the humongousness of life just flowing, and the colors, and because that's what I create with my hands, is the magic on paper and canvas, and people want to move into my paintings and they get healed from the colors that I'm creating.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, healing through art and art therapy, that's hollow earth right there. You know, to be in hollow earth, you have to be a high vibrational soul. And at times, they invite other high vibrational souls that are very damaged, that have experienced war, that have dealt with the worst of the workers of the dark. And they make these special places that these refugees can come to, and they use art and color therapy to heal them. Clay therapy, where they literally mold clay over the person's body, and it just sucks out the darkness. And then they take the clay molds and they actually build a statue out of it, and then that person can view the statue and the darkness that's being pulled out of it, so they have a deep understanding of what's being removed. That's really what's going on, and I really think that you should start doing research on the Agartha network and the Hollow Earth network. It's going to open doors for you. There's tremendous visual representations of what Hollow Earth looks like. And an artistic-wise, when you get yourself tuned into that, you're going to see worlds inside of worlds inside of worlds that show you a whole new layer of art you can recreate that is even more vibrant than the surface worlds. The surface world is a reflection of the inner world, and the inner world is a reflection of the outer world. They all interact and interco-create with each other. Everything that's on the surface is below, and everything that is below is on the surface. And you're here this lifetime to bring the beauty of the inner earth to the outer earth. Let me tell you something. In the 20 years that I've been doing this, you're probably only the 6th or 7th person that has lived most of their lifetimes in Hollow Earth. You're really, really rare. Really rare. Rarer than the dodo bird. And the fact that you're alive and well.
I was a little kid.
Yeah. It's the fact that you're alive and
Can
well.
Can you just tell me?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to know why I have such trouble with my teeth.
Honestly, that's because you have to be in a food chain. And in the Hollow Earth, food is specialized fruits, specialized vegetables, and artificially created proteins that are anything that you want. So
I don't do any of that. I eat organic, and I don't eat artificial. I just drink.
You're still in the food chain. Still in the food chain here. It's the energy of the food chain. And I'm going to tell you a little something else. Because you've only lived 30 lifetimes up here, you have a very limited DNA structure. One that allows you to fully express who you are, but at the same time, the DNA structure you chose still has meat eater in it, still has omnivore in it. And that's something you'll have to deal with on a spiritual level to finally remove it. And all of those teeth issues will come into much more understanding. I'm not telling you to stop the vegetarianism. You're doing it because your soul said to you. But there's also something that you don't realize. Your DNA is still craving it, and the teeth is the representation of ignoring what the DNA was telling you. Have you heard any of my affirmations about removing spiritual contracts?
Yes, you actually emailed me all of it today. I read it, and then I went, I got to go on this further.
Okay, well, what I'd suggest is you make one specifically for removing meat eating from your energy field and get very creative with it. And if you could do it with your paintbrush and put it on a piece of paper and put all of your the same energy of a painter in it, do it in like calligraphy or something, you're going to notice a massive stress relief on your teeth. Massive. Be poetically creative when you're saying, I'm removing all contracts with meat-eating societies. I do not consent to being in a food chain. I return to the natural order of eating of the vegetables, and give praise to the vegetarian concepts that are within you, and remove and revoke all contracts and false and fine print contracts that indicate meat is attached to the health of my teeth.
Wow.
You're going to be freed.
Great.
Very freed. Very freed.
You think I keep trying to visualize that my teeth, my gums are going to start growing back, and things like that are going to come back and start hugging everything.
Well, that can eventually come.
I want all that to heal.
That can eventually come, but you're at this point where you weren't aware of the contracts. We're just not taught about it. And when we start doing the affirmations, brings energy to your field right away. Putting power behind it, creating artworks, puts true power behind it. And that's where you're going to need to do. And yes, you can find your gums coming back. You can find your teeth starting to not decay as fast, and begin to deal with the rest of the stress, the mental stress of having teeth that aren't what you want. And then begin to deal with the imagery issues of teeth. We all have the imagery issues of teeth. It's just born into us. It's part of the dating ritual to have good teeth.
Right. Okay, great. Can you just emphasize one thing? I just moved into my little cottage. Do you see me staying here for a good while, or I have a sense that somewhere down the journey I'm going to connect with the soul?
I see you in Hawaii. I see you in Hawaii. I see you in Hawaii.
Maui.
And I also see you activating chakra points there. Don't be surprised if the urge to travel comes, the urge to go on an artistic journey, and you can fund your entire artistic journey before you even need to go. It's just a matter of reaching out to those people that have already purchased for you, tell them the types of things that you're going to create. Start creating some spiritual artwork that, maybe do a portrait of a person and put your imagery of what their aura looks like in it. Get really creative there, because it's a high energy time for you, and the Hollow Earth people are going to seek you out, and you're going to find them.
Okay.
Okay?
Because I just came back from Hawaii. I was there about a week ago. I was
you're
there,
going to
but I
be
didn't
there.
run into anything.
You're going to be in Hilo or Maui, and you're going to spend a significant amount of time on Molokai.
Oh, God bless. Yay! Because they don't allow any GMOs over there. Yay!
Yep.
I'm getting chills.
A lot
Thank
of time
you,
in
Andrew.
Molokai. And Molokai is directly related to your past life. You lived there many, many, many times. All right? Of your 30 lifetimes there, at least half of them were on Molokai or on the Big Island or on Maui. You're a Polynesian ancestor.
Right. Okay. So my marriage with my platonic husband, is that over?
No, honestly it isn't. The reason it ended is, how do we put this? The stars weren't in alignment for your soul group anymore. He has to find the rest of his soul family, and you have to find the rest of your soul family. And once you complete that soul family code search, it will be reignited. You will be reignited, quite literally.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's contracts that are preventing you from coming back together now.
So do you think that he and I will go to Hawaii together?
I think that he'll probably come visit you, actually, once he finds the rest of his soul.
Okay. Okay, that's what he's done. He's left. He's gone away, but we're still good friends and all of that, but we haven't broke the physical contract. But he just has habits that don't align with me.
Right, and that's because he has an incomplete soul family code. He should have been. I mean, one of the negative things about living so few lives here is you're very specific in what you want, and when they don't do it, you put an energy out that pushes them away. Honestly. And that's because you're such a high vibration, high intensity person.
But do you see me going to Molokai, to Maui before him, and then he'd come and visit and do all his rest of his work?
Yeah, I see you there.
I
see you there really soon, like as early as August. August.
This year, 2013.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, I've got to move on to the next caller.
Go. Thank you. I'm going to research more about Hollow Earth, and I thank you so much. And ahui aloha. Ahui hoa is what they taught me. And until you see each other again. Ahui hoa. God bless.
Okay. .505, your name and where you're calling from. 505, are you there?
Yes.
Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Unica, and I'm calling from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Hi, Unica from Santa Fe, New Mexico. How can I help you today?
Thank you for answering my call. I guess I didn't expect it. Well, I have become very ill. I was doing a heavy metal cleanse, and so went into this accident phase, and I over-detoxed, ended up in the emergency room, and it's affected my heart, and I'm just wanting some guidance.
Were you using bentonite clay? Were you using bentonite clay?
I was using a fulvic acid product that I bought from a spiritual teacher in Sedona.
Say that again, or what?
I was using a fulvic acid dry form product, fulvic and humic acid, and I took the minimum amount, and I didn't get tested, I only took it for, 3 months, and started having heart problems,
Well, yeah,
racing
it's because
heart.
your body's highly acidic, and you added more acid on top of it. Do you drink a lot of coffee?
No, I was a vegan, and I only drank 1 cup of green tea a day. I don't know, I'm a very small person, and
how long have you been a vegan for?
Well, I have been eating eggs most of the time, so mostly vegetarian, but 3 years.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you right now, the type of soul species you are is called Jina Uka Chikakana. And it's a little bit of a full language, but that type of lineage is not meant to be vegetarian eaters. They're meant to be omnivores. Though they eat a lot of vegetables because of the type of way the food chain in their world is set up. And one of the reasons you're having such a problem detoxing is the types of food that you ate when you were young. And as I'm going deeper and deeper and deeper into your record here, what I'm getting is when you decided to go vegan, it was actually a middle finger in the face of your soul. Quite literally. Your soul was telling you no, 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 and your ego took over. And I'm going to tell you, you need to stop being a vegan for the next 4 to 5 months to finish your healing process. You can go back to it, but you're going to need protein. You're going to need some type of heavy-duty broth to clean yourself out. Your kidneys are very bad right now. Your liver is very bad right now. Your lungs have multiple clot stains on them. When I see clot stains on them, this is from a spiritual level that your lungs had to be so overworked so that you could keep oxygen in your blood because you became so acidic you were literally destroying your blood cells as they were being created, and they weren't able to carry their oxygen, which ultimately turns your situation into your heart. And the next thing is when your heart went crazy, it totally altered the circadian rhythms that you function on. And this is what really puts you into the downward spiral. And the energy depression that you're feeling now, you're going to have to reconnect to your sacred feminine, reconnect to your menstrual cycle, do a lot of reconnecting work while returning to a balance. The acidity in your blood right now is really pretty serious. I mean, you're just dissolving your own veins in some areas. And you need foods that can start absorbing the acidity. I'm not telling you to start eating meat. You could start by trying to eat chicken or eggs or things that can start literally functioning in your lower gut that act as the absorbing of this toxicity, because your pH is way off. So do you know how to test the pH of your blood?
I can get a kit, I guess.
Yeah, get a kit, because you're in an acidic stage and you should be in an alkaline stage, and it's going to take a long time. Whatever you do not use bentonite clay. Don't. You're just it'll kill you. It'll kill you. All right, in the stage that you're at right now. Stop all detoxing medications that you're taking, and go and find pine bark extract. It's really cheap, and then you need to start taking green tea. You can get more green tea, or you can start with white tea. Green tea is going to start tonifying your blood and help you take the acid down. What you may want to do is brew 1 pot of green tea and then water it down, and you'll have to start drinking 60 to 80 ounces of water a day. Can you drink 6 cups or 8 cups of water?
I've been drinking a lot of water. The medical intuitive that I called told me to stop taking chlorella and spirulina.
Yeah, your gut's going to need a restart, actually. That's why I'm saying to stop. The pine bark extract's going to help the acidity level big time.
Why am I so acidic if I've only been eating fruit and vegetable for such a long time?
Because the type of soul you are isn't meant to be a vegetarian-only eater.
Okay.
Quite literally.
Okay.
I mean, you can eat fish. I mean, for you have to come to an understanding that what you're consuming also completes your soul-level information. And going to being that strict vegan, and I know this is going to be a little harsh to say, but it was the middle finger to your higher soul. You believed it was morally righteously to do it, and in one way it is, but it was absolutely against what your soul was trying to tell you at that moment when you made that decision, which ultimately led to where you're at right now.
But what about the detox? It seemed like it was related. The intuitive that I had called said that I had stripped out my iron and trace minerals, and that's why my heart was affected.
No, it was affected because the acidity level that was literally eating your own blood cells, because they weren't processing oxygen and they weren't removing heavy metals, as well as damaging your kidneys. When your acidity goes up that level, your blood cells can't function normally. The cell walls are constantly attacked by the acidity. Green tea, like all the water you drink in a given day should be watered down with green tea. So you're getting a full pot of green tea a day. You don't have to concentrate.
I had cut back on my green tea because I thought it would interfere. So I'll go back on my green tea.
Yeah, and like I said, you can add it to your cups of water that you're drinking. Try not to drink the green teas totally concentrated. The next thing is it's going to be very, very, very beneficial for you to make a vegetable broth with cut up an onion, some carrots, some celery, some garlic, whatever's to your flavoring, and then just drink and simmer that for 4 to 6 hours and start drinking that on top. What that's going to, and add olive oil to it. You need to get some fatty acids into your intestinal tract because the fat, the oil is going to interact with the acid, the oil is going to break down, and it's going to release a lot more of an ability to absorb some of the acid while the other food that you put in there. Be very wary of breads. All right, very wary of breads. All right. I would honestly stick away.
Okay, I was only eating a flourless sprouted spelt. And I have been making a vegetable soup with lentils and then root vegetables.
Those are good.
And
yeah.
Blending it with a lot of parsley and eating a lot of parsley every day.
That's very good. Have you ever used couscous?
I haven't been eating it because I don't eat wheat. I think it's wheat.
There's different versions of it. You have to go to one of the import stores. I think it's corn, or it could be wheat. I'm not exactly sure. Well, you need some carbs in your system. All right.
Potatoes.
Pasta. You need carbs in your system. You need fuel.
Oh.
And unfortunately, the vegetarian diet is low on that solid food, but it keeps your body in a digesting mode, so it's constantly getting all the proper nutrients out. That's the benefit of the vegan diet. I'm not dissing it in any way. I'm just saying for you right now, you should be off of it during your healing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Tammy, do you have anything to add for our caller?
I absolutely do, and I absolutely agree with what you're picking up through the records there, Andre. The thing that is coming to me most is it is definitely time for you to add a little bit more protein to your diet. I did hear you say that you are having eggs, and I have to tell you, eggs is what saved your life. If you had not been having some kind of eggs in your diet, you wouldn't be with us today. It is definitely time.
I've been eating like here for a day, and I have been eating 3 or 4 eggs today, and I had been eating some meat. I haven't eaten any the last few days.
That's why the eggs absolutely did save your life. I would also agree with Andrew, and I'm not going to say but, I would absolutely agree with him. There is one of, your spirit is calling you to connect with your spirit, your higher self, and stop going with the trends, because right now it seems like that you're really engaged with the trends of others and trying to reach a spirituality level. However, you're not reaching your true spirituality level. So it is time for you to go within and find out what it is that your spirit desires, and not that of what may be the best course for someone else, because we are from different soul groups, and we are having different levels of places that where we come from. And it is really go within with what you do, and just don't take someone's advice because they call themselves, a medical intuitive or something like that. A lot of people want to have the same answer for the same things, and it's not going to happen here. It's just not. We are all one, but we are very individual in nature as well. So I'm just the emptiness that I feel in your stomach right now is just very, very concerning with me. So please, if you can, add some chicken to your diet if you can. Of course, and I'm also being warned to tell you not to go overboard either, because you don't want to, shock your system into bringing forth more problems. So, so do these things that are slow in nature until you build yourself up to an even keel. So that's what I needed to say.
Yeah. And when I say adding meat to your diet, you're going to do it slow. What you can do is make a chicken soup with very little chicken in it, just so your stomach can start to get dosed with it. You can make a vegetable soup. Let's say you can get matzo balls. I think that's made out of matzo meal. That would be something good for you. And you can just get a can of chicken broth to add to the soup. So then you start to have that chickeny fat in your system, and then you can slowly add a little chicken or turkey and that would be extremely beneficial for you. Lentils are outstanding for you to use, all right? As well as beans.
Okay, what salmon?
Salmon, fish, all of that, yes. Salmon, tuna, be very good for you. Sardines. They're extremely high in protein. Extremely high in protein. I would actually recommend you to eat sardines every other day. You know, you can, usually the sardine cans come with 3 little sardines in it, and eat one a day or every other day and keep it in the refrigerator, and find a way to just to get you consumed. A lot of times they come in oil, hot sauce, or mustard. So, the fishy flavor goes really, really fast. But definitely sardines.
You said three sardines a day?
No, they come 3 inside a pack, and you could eat 1 a day, and then you might even notice that your body craves it after the first eating.
Okay. Well, I'm wondering...
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Well, why did I create this? You're saying I wasn't listening to my own soul? I almost died. I had to go to the ER.
Right.
Was there some force trying to take me down?
No. This at times we get caught in what I call enlightenment traps. You get yourself on a plateau, you're feeling really good, you believe you're doing good, and you literally get yourself caught in an enlightenment trap. The ego is a very tricky thing, and when we've become enlightened, it must come up with very new ways to control us. And going against diet and changing your nature is one of the classic things. Overeating, undereating, changing the diet in such a way that it causes illness and sickness, so that the awake you is beaten up and down, so the ego can come back and assert itself for negative habit patterns. It's a survival tool. And this isn't saying that you were egotistical in any way. You just got caught in the enlightenment trap of being a vegan.
Sure.
2 years into being a vegan, you should have stopped. 1 year into being a vegan, you should have been paying attention to yourself and then allowed yourself to balance it out and extend the process of still having meat for another year or 2 and then become a total vegan. Okay? It's really, that's the enlightenment trap. You just did it way too fast, and then when your body started telling you, I need this, this, and this, you just continue to ignore it because of the zealotry of being on the no meat.
I didn't understand the message. I first went off red meat. And then I ate salmon and turkey for a couple of years. So, I don't know. Yeah.
You should have stayed on red meat for another 2 years before. You could have just cut it down and changed the volumes of food that you were eating. Like I said, you're meant to be an omnivore. Okay? So you eat what functions for your monthly diet. And your diet is very much associated to the passing of the seasons. In the summers, early in the summers, you should be having meat and soups. Later in the summers, when the harvest comes, you should be having all the vegetables, and then whatever vegetables you can store or pack away into pickling, that would be very good for you to eat any type of pickled vegetables, because they have all sorts of other stuff inside it. And then when it comes back to winter, you've got to have the carbs and the meats back in your diet, balanced by vegetables.
Okay.
And I'm not saying large volumes. I'm really saying small volumes. And the volume of the food you eat is the higher volume is the vegetables. When you become a total vegan, what it is your body has to work doubly as hard to break the products down. Some dishes that you eat may only have 100 calories in them, even though it's a giant salad. But in fact, it costs you 150 calories to process. So you're always in a negative mode. That's why there has to be protein balanced off in their eggs. Eggs saved your life.
Well, I still don't understand. I was detoxing heavy metal, and I pulled out my iron and trace minerals, so
I do not believe that was the scenario. I think that she totally misdiagnosed you.
You do?
Absolutely. The reason why you think you were heavy metal detox is actually not. It was because you were so acidic. Basically, vegetables have iron minerals in them, have all sorts of metallic minerals in them. And you're eating vegetables that are going through processing plants that all have metal trays. And then they go from one metal tray to another. They go from picking with metal shovels to the bed of a metal truck, from a bed of a metal truck to a wash plant that's metal based. Okay? That's where you're getting your metals from. And you overdosed, you got your metals from the vegetables overdoing your vegetables. And if you would have just cut down the vegetables and put protein in that diet, you would have crapped it all out.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And that's why I'm telling you to be very wary of wheat. Wheat is a classic example of getting yourself overdosed on metals. Wheat goes through 25 or 30 metal trays before it's even processed. So there's constantly metal shavings and metal powders all over wheat.
I don't eat wheat. I haven't been eating wheat in years.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be moving on to the next caller. Do you have any last questions?
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You are very, very welcome. Call in another time and tell us how you're doing.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
So it doesn't require a college degree. It doesn't require someone to be highly intelligent in the sense of a high IQ.
Nope.
It just requires someone using common sense in terms of when a situation occurs, are they aware of how they feel about it?
Mm-hmm.
And are they aware of what they chose to do?
Mm-hmm.
Were they aware of the consequence? And then are they willing to repeat that consequence on a regular basis or choose a different action if that consequence gives them a negative outcome?
Exactly.
And so it's kind of like Groundhog Day.
Yep.
And after a while, you're like, I'd really like to date that girl, and I keep pissing her off, and so I don't want to stop. I want to stop stepping into that puddle, and so you go take a little bit off to that. Okay. So discernment is not complicated. It just requires a practice, a daily practice.
Slowing information down. The world moves really fast.
Right.
Once you slow it down, that's another layer to discernment. Is knowing when to slow it down, because there's things hidden in it of misunderstanding. They can easily be misunderstood because the data's moving so fast.
And so as you're running, if you think that you have to go fast, then you're actually missing, which is right here, you've gone past it. And so actually the people that speak slowly, I found, sometimes are the most aware. And the people who speak fast, myself included, sometimes you overshoot.
Correct.
And so actually it's not a game of intellect, it's a game of awareness.
Absolutely. It's always awareness and consciousness.
Yeah.
It always stems down to that for the value in this universe.
So every human being has that ability.
Absolutely.
To discern and become conscious.
Sovereign.
And sovereign. Mm-hmm. No matter where they are in the scheme, whether you're penniless or you're homeless,
exactly.
or you're a very smart person in a very important job, or you're a politician, we all have the same path.
Correct.
And there's nothing easier or harder except for dealing with the perceived fear that if I really look at myself and who I am and what I've done, whether I'm able to accept that, and then the commitment, which is your choice, right? Mm-hmm. Whether you want to go forward, to act on and do something different.
Exactly.
And free will says you can do the same thing you want in infinity until you're ready to do something different. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
And that's okay too.
And you can steal as often as you want, and you can do those things, but there'll be a consequence. Mm-hmm. But ultimately when you're done and you realize that the wealth is within inside, then you can choose something different and you've lost nothing. But gained everything. Gained everything, exactly. So no one's lost anything. People in prison, people have done bad things. The moment of truth is when you realize, okay, that wasn't such a good idea, but I learned so much.
Retrospection is one of the greatest human tools.
So no matter my choices, I become wealthy.
Absolutely.
Just choose.
each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail. Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.